What's goody? It's your host Jay Rose back with another video as always, and obviously I am not in the same place. I just moved into college a couple days ago and this is my first video here, so we still getting used to everything. I'm sure the acoustics in here suck. I'm sure there's mad echo. I also don't have a pop filter on my mic right now, so I'm not sure how good the audio is gonna sound, but we hit with the video, of course. We still posting. Just to give a little update on the channel, obviously, like I said, I'm at school, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna upkeep that same upload schedule that I had. I was making sure I posted every 3 days or so, but obviously I'm in school. I'm also working. I want to hoop every now and then. I want to have fun every now and then. I want to work out, chill, stuff like that. So I'm not saying I'm not gonna post. I love making videos, so of course I'm still gonna post, but every 3 days is gonna be a little stretch. So I say expect maybe 2-3 videos a week, and yeah, I think that's a pretty good schedule. We are. All right, let's get into the hoops. My first BagTalk pod in a minute, and I really wanted to talk about James Harden, because James Harden has been in the news for some really bad stuff recently. This guy, I wouldn't say bad per se, but he's been going outwardly saying that he's not messing with what the Sixers are doing, and he's not messing with Daryl Morey right now because he asked for a trade request. They're not going to trade him. They promised him money if he took a pay cut last season. They didn't give him the money, so now he wants out. And I can understand that. I feel like he is taking it a bit too far and not keeping these things in house. But when somebody made a promise to you and they don't fulfill that promise, you're going to be upset. So I don't really fault James Harden too much for being upset at the situation. And to be fair, I'd want out too. After watching what Joel Embiid did in this last playoff series. I wouldn't really want to be his partner in crime either. He's supposed to be leading the troops. He's supposed to be the guy. And in the playoffs, James Harden had more performances that made him look like the guy rather than Joel Embiid. So if that's not the role you want, they're not giving you the money you want, I'd want out as well. But I just don't like the way he's going about it. He did request a trade earlier, and it didn't look like they were going to trade him in a manner or time that he thought was fit. So now he's upset. He wants to force himself out. So he's outwardly speaking, he's putting a lot of pressure on the Sixers. The NBA fined him $100,000, and that's pocket change for a guy like James Harden. So I don't really think that's going to stop him from doing anything. If he truly wants out of this situation, I'm sure he'll do it again and take another $100,000 fine. I don't think he cares about that too much. As far as the basketball standpoint and what teams I'd like to see him on, he wanted to go to the Clippers, which I think would be a really good fit for him, just because that team obviously has a lot of defenders. They have a lot of people that can hide James Harden on defense and just let him go to work on offense. So it's really going to be a match made in heaven there. We saw that Russell Westbrook is really committed to a role player kind of role, and he's committed to also playing defense as well. If he continues what we saw in the playoffs, at the very least, going off of what I saw his last couple of games, Westbrook looks committed to being a role player on that team and giving them whatever they need. So if James Harden goes there, I'm sure Westbrook will turn it up on defense and let James Harden operate on offense. That team would have a lot of firepower, but the problem is almost everybody on that roster besides Westbrook is injury prone. So you'd see a roster of Russell Westbrook and Terrence Mann on the floor more often than you see Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, Paul George. So I'm not sure if that would equal success, because obviously it hasn't for the Clippers for the past couple of years, but who knows? There's obviously a reason why James Harden wants to go there, trying to build another super team. But I'm not too opposed to that trade. What I'm really more interested in is if James Harden is gone, what happens to Joel Embiid? Because if I'm the GM of the Sixers and I see that James Harden is out of here, who knows what they get back from that deal. I'm not necessarily going to want to build around Joel Embiid anymore. I think that time would have came and went by the time we got over to the regular season. How many seasons have we had of Joel Embiid just going into the playoffs? They underperformed. They've never made it past the second round. We gave you James Harden, we gave you Jimmy Butler, we gave you Ben Simmons, and nothing worked. Not saying that it's fully his fault in all of those scenarios, but we've given you the talent, and especially last year, that was most definitely your fault. If you want to talk about the Ben Simmons year, everybody blamed Ben Simmons, and yes, Ben Simmons did choke, but Joel Embiid choked as well. You want to talk about the Jimmy Butler year? Jimmy Butler came, he did his thing. They were a shot away from going to the conference finals potentially, but Joel Embiid could have played better in that series too. So I'm just saying that when you look at Joel Embiid as a first option and you see the shortcomings that the Sixers have had year after year after year, and you're going to lose another star player, are you really feeling inclined to build another team around Joel Embiid? You've seen multiple iterations of this Sixers team. Some of them with more role players than others, more star power than others. You had Ben Simmons, Jimmy Butler, Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, and I'm pretty sure JJ Redick was on that team too. They had some decent role players, and you still didn't get it done. So if I'm the Sixers GM, what's it really even going to take to get this done with Joel Embiid? Is he able to even do this as a first option? We don't know. So I'm not sure if I'd want to even continue this experiment. I personally would look to move Joel Embiid because his value is at an all-time high right now, and it's probably going to only get lower as time goes on. I don't think Joel Embiid's price is going to raise. I think this is his peak price. Even if he were to win another MVP award, I think as much as he ages, his price will start to go down, especially because you can see that he's a disgruntled star right now. He took Philly out of his location on Twitter, and he took the process out of his bio. So it's very obvious that he's also thinking about not staying here. He said something like that as well, talking about how he wanted to win a championship, and whether that was with the Sixers or if that was on another team, he was willing to do that regardless. He just wants to win a championship. So with that being said, we don't really know what to expect coming from Joel Embiid at this point. And if he stays, he stays. If he goes, he goes. But I would like to see him moved as well. And one potential trade place that I saw for Joel Embiid was the Miami Heat, which I thought was interesting, especially because they're not going to be able to secure Damian Lillard more than likely. So I don't think Joel Embiid would be a bad pairing. It would obviously be Bam Adebayo, probably some role players, some picks, and you potentially have a team with Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, and Joel Embiid. And I don't think that's a bad trio to have. But once again, if you're the Heat, let me not even say that, because Bam Adebayo does tend to fall off in the playoffs at times as well. So I think even having Joel Embiid at all would be a clear upgrade. But yeah, I just question Joel Embiid's heart. So I'm not sure if I would want to trade for him if I was Miami. But they also do find a way to bring players in and give them that winner mentality, give them that fighter mentality. So if they want to do that, I think that's a possible trade route. I think it'll be a lot easier to find teams to get Joel Embiid on rather than James Harden, because this is a guard-heavy league, and there's not many centers better than Joel Embiid. There's not. He's probably the second best center in the NBA, and with that being said, how many teams aren't going to want the second best center in the NBA? There's not too many centers that I put over him. He can fit a lot of different scenarios. He got the jump shot. He got the defense. I think he can fit in most places that he goes, especially if he decides to take the ball out of his hands a little bit more and let the point guards operate, depending on where he ends up. But I definitely feel like Joel Embiid will be a lot easier to move than James Harden. And I would like to see him on a different team. I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of tired of this Philly experiment. They definitely have built rosters around him, but even further than that, I don't think the coaching has been that good there. So that can also be a part of the problem, but Joel Embiid is definitely the main issue I see over there, especially with his shortcomings. And honestly, I think if Joel Embiid played well enough and they got to the conference finals, I don't think James Harden would have asked out regardless of his contractual situations. So I'll definitely place a lot of the blame on Joel Embiid for this, but Daryl Morey obviously pushed James Harden over the edge, and he doesn't want to be on any team that he's coaching ever again. He said that out loud as well. So season's going to look real different for the Sixers next year. Let's say they trade James Harden or waive him, or he decides not to show up and he's just not playing. That dynamic is going to look a lot different, because now Tyrese Maxey, who used to be your third option, is now your second option. You don't know how he's going to mesh in that role. I think he'll do well, but even further than that, now you don't have your third option. So now Tobias is going to have to step up, be your third option, and the dynamic is just going to be completely different. Your team's going to look a lot different. You're going to be a lot less deep, losing that one player. And James Harden is not even the James Harden of old. So, I think if they could possibly find somewhere where they can get a player of his stature in return, that would be great. I doubt it, though. I really do doubt it, especially because the Sixers have zero leverage in this situation. I definitely feel bad for the Sixers roster, though. The front office put a lot of effort into making, the teams that they put around Joel Embiid good, and he just hasn't done anything with it. Now he's pondering of thoughts of leaving, and James Harden also wants to leave. These teams that they put together all failed, so I feel bad for that organization from that standpoint, because they definitely put the work in to make this a good organization, but it just hasn't panned out. Trust the process. The process did not work. You guys did this entire process to not make it out of the second round, and that's not what you tanked for. That's not what you put these rosters for. So in my opinion, the process definitely failed. So hopefully Philly can go into next season and figure something out, maybe start another rebuild, which would suck. That would absolutely suck, because they were rebuilding for a long time before that. But hey, that's it for today's podcast. Let me know if you like this format, me standing up, or would you rather me just sitting down in front of the chair like usual? I like the free flowness of this, the way I can just sit down, stand up, and we just chatting, you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't do this for the video essays, and if I'm reacting to something, I'm obviously going to be closer to the camera, but for the bag talks, you know what I'm saying? I'm just sitting here and we chatting. I think this is a good format, but you guys can let me know what you think about this in the comments down below, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Make sure to like the damn video, alright? College content. We working real hard out here. We grinding. You feel me? Studious. All right, I'm out of here.